Hello there, my name is Apocalypse Hero, and here's what I learned flying from Richmond to Nevada and back. First things first, you're going to want to make sure to prepare properly for the flight. You're going to want some in-flight entertainment, because paying the Wi-Fi is a scam, and no, you will most definitely not get data in a plane, so download whatever you want to watch or listen to beforehand. Also, if possible, get a flight that takes off and returns on a weekday, since those seem to have a lot less average passengers, meaning you're likely to have one, if not both, the seats in your aisle empty, like I did. Make sure to show up early. Tickets typically say to show up 2 hours early for domestic and 3 hours early for international, but depending on your circumstances, you may be able to show up later. I wouldn't, but maybe. And depending on the size of the airport, it may have multiple terminals. In Vegas and Richmond, there are 2 departing terminals, one for international and one for domestic airlines. Thankfully, if you are dropped off at the wrong one, or need to get to and fro from the rental vehicle place, at least in Vegas, there are free-to-use shuttles that drive between the terminals. Then, onto the customer center for whatever airline the tickets are for. Airports typically have kiosks where you can print your ticket before getting on the plane, though some airlines offer online check-ins so you can print your ticket at home. And assuming you're only bringing a personal item or a carry-on, you may be able to go straight to the security for the gate. Though, baggage aside from personal items and carry-ons, assuming they don't look egregious, because airlines can and will make you weigh carry-ons that look too large, has to be weighed and handed off to the airline. This can be done at some kiosks, but some airports don't have scales on their kiosks, so you get to experience the joys of the line, which took me 40 minutes to get through. Also, keep in mind that some airlines stop accepting baggage an hour before the flight takes off, and the kiosks will also stop printing tickets and such for flights that are leaving soon, so definitely arrive early if you have anything other than personal items. Then comes the TSA. This part varies drastically depending on ethnicity. This is where you show your documents and go through the scanners. I was told to take off my shoes and put my bags in a tray and got to go through the regular metal detector, probably because I was carrying a baby while in Richmond. Though, on the return flight from Vegas, I had to separate my items where electronics and metallic things were on one tray and everything else in another. And they put me in the spinning advanced scanner, and they still made me take off my shoes. After that nightmare comes the luxury of waiting to board the plane. Eventually, the zone number the seat is in will get called and you get to sit down. Store carry-ons in the shelving above, and personal items under the seat in front. The flight attendants will read off safety instructions at some point, so please listen and obey the seatbelt light. Now for the fun part of flying into the air. Taking off. This will probably be loud and make your ears pop a lot and result in difficulty hearing. This can be momentarily abated by swallowing or yawning, and chewing gum seems to help my family drastically. This is because despite being in a pressurized cabin, the air pressure around your head is drastically lower than that inside of it. This means the pressure has to equalize by lowering the pressure of your head. It shouldn't be too painful, didn't bother me at all. On another note, if you get motion sick or anything of the likeness, the effects are diminished the closer you are to the window. If you are not at the window seat though, I would advise against looking out while taking off since the tunneling can result in a grogginess. It's best to look forward, and if you'd prefer to look elsewhere, don't turn too often. But if your goal is to maximize discomfort like a Giga Chad, sit in the aisle seat and while taking off, alternate staring between the windows to either side of the plane. And I didn't mention this prior, but I flew with the cheap airline Spirit, and nothing really seemed off about the experience until I looked out the window and noticed the wing had been duct taped. I then began to ponder why this airline was named after what you become when you die. Oh well. Now for the fun part of the flight. Cruising at whatever altitude the autopilot deemed acceptable. This should be relatively smooth, lest the plane hits some turbulence, but don't fret, it's really nothing to worry about, just a little shaking. Now is the time to enjoy whatever in-flight entertainment was prepared. Or, if the nearby passengers seem down, you may be able to strike up a conversation with them. There is no harm in trying to start a conversation, but if they appear to not be interested, let them enjoy their flight in peace. Also, you don't need me to tell you this, but if someone brought a baby, it may cry. And honestly, there may be nothing the mother can really do about it, since the flight may be discomforting for the baby. And no, complaining to the mother will not help solve this in any way. Now for the part I hate. Landing. Did you experience grogginess and pain from takeoff? Well, not to scare, but it's probably gonna hurt worse now, since the outside pressure will be greater than the pressure inside your head, meaning your head is going to need to be pressurized. Also, the sound it makes when you land is not pleasant. Once you've exited the plane, please proceed to the baggage carousel as instructed and retrieve your stowed away luggage and have a wonderful time wherever you are. Personally, I would have to say my experience with flying was far better than I expected. At least I wasn't beaten up and dragged off the plane.